I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, a couple of topics I want to cover here today. As people who have been a long-term viewer of my blog for the last 8 or 9 years here, you know that I am incredibly bullish long-term on real estate in Vancouver, especially Vancouver proper, downtown Vancouver, Mount Pleasant, Kitsilano, Fairview, Cambie Corridor. Because that's my main market. I also do a fair bit of work though in Richmond. You know, this year I've sold, either bought or sold homes in Surrey, Langley, Maple Ridge, New Westminster, Burnaby, Coquitlam, and then Richmond, a ton of stuff, of course, in Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, east side, west side, everything. Detached homes, condos, townhomes, you name it. And I get a lot of people say, oh, and you're always talking about Vancouver, and is Vancouver the only market that you'd recommend you buy in? Now, when I talk Vancouver, the reason I talk about Vancouver is that is my main market. That's where I live. This is where my office is. The majority of my work is in Vancouver, and that's what I focus on. I can't cover, you know, every city in the Lower Mainland because a lot of those cities I don't really follow. You know, when someone comes to me and wants to list a property in Burnaby or Surrey or Langley, I take that on and I'm pretty hands-on with it, myself and my team. When someone wants to buy a condo, wants me to represent them in the purchase of a condo, and it's in Vancouver or Richmond or Burnaby or New Westminster, I will generally take them on with that as well. There might be a waiting list for me to take you on, but I can usually generally take you on. If you're looking for something outside across the bridge in Surrey or Langley, then I'm going to put you in touch with one of my team members, an experienced realtor that probably lives in that area but follows that area much more closely than I do. And those areas can be fantastic. People comment all the time saying, what about Surrey? What about Wally? What about Maple Ridge, Coquitlam? Listen, those areas, if you get the right realtor, and I'm more than happy to put you in touch with one of my realtors that specializes in that area, then you are going to do fantastic. Buy it as if it's your principal residence and you're living and you work out there. Buy it and enjoy it, and you're going to do incredible over the next 20 or 30 years. If it's an investment unit, similar thing. You're not a speculator. Buy it. Buy the right unit. Get it at the right price. Put a tenant in it and keep it. So, but for my blog here, I mostly focus on, you know, the areas in Vancouver and surrounding areas here, because that's my main market and the market that I keep the closest tabs on. But again, I think a lot of people don't realize that I do work in a lot of those other cities, especially on the listing side. I'm always willing to take on listings in those other cities. If it's on the buying side, you're going to get a lot of my expertise there, but it's probably going to be one of the realtors on my team that is going to work with you in some of those areas like Surrey or Langley or Maple Ridge. Contact me. But as you know, I'm incredibly bullish, always have been. You know, when someone comes to me and says, oh, and I want to buy an investment unit, a good long-term investment unit, it all depends on their budget. If they tell me my max budget is $500,000, then we're probably going to be looking at something in Richmond on SkyTrain, a newer concrete unit in Richmond on SkyTrain, or maybe New Westminster or Lougheed or whatever. If they come to me though, and those areas can be fantastic, you're going to do very well if you follow, you know, the plan of the game plan that I've been telling people about here, buying and holding it and putting good tenants in it. If they come to me and say, Owen, what is going to give me the best appreciation, the easiest to rent, the best long-term appreciation over time? If they have the budget for it. So the budget now for something in downtown Vancouver is going to be $650, maybe a little less, maybe around $600 for a junior one bedroom with no parking. But $650,000 to $700,000 can get you a good quality concrete, probably less than 10 or 12 years old with parking. And if they have the budget for it, yes, that is where I would put you, in the downtown core. Maybe Olympic Village or Mount Pleasant can be good too. They're a little less expensive there. It all depends on the budget. But if someone said to me, oh, and I got a $675,000 budget, what do you recommend? What should I buy for a long-term investment property? I am going to suggest to you every single time downtown Vancouver, for a number of reasons. So I've done many blogs over the years how the window is closing on downtown Vancouver. It is. I'm dealing in this market every single day. I own downtown. I've got tenants downtown. I've got a pretty good beat on this market. And I continue to be incredibly bullish. I've said many times before, the window is closing. I did a blog that got a little bit of pushback from people. To buy in downtown Vancouver now, whether you're an investor or a principal residence buyer, you're probably going to need to have an income of about pretty close to $100,000, although it depends on what you've managed to save. Maybe you're getting help from mom and dad. That can make a big difference as well. But the window is closing because there is very little buildable land left in the downtown core, or even Mount Pleasant or Kitsilano. Tough to build. Land, when it can be secured, is incredibly expensive and takes a long time to get it through the approval process, as people know and I blogged about. I'm under the belief that pretty much everything going online between now over the next 10 or 15 years, as I've said many times, is going to be luxury condos only, starting at maybe $1,500 or $1,600 a square foot, up to well over $3,000 a square foot for some of the projects in Cole Harbour. I'm under the belief that if you can still buy a good quality one bedroom for less than $1,100 a square foot, concrete with parking, which is still available out there, there's not a lot of them, it's a bit of a waiting game, but you can still generally buy for around $1,100 a square foot, maybe even a little bit less, then I would buy, hold it for 20 years, and you can't help but make a whole lot of money. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, if you don't, as I've said many times, start following me on Twitter, because I don't interact on Twitter. First off, I won't get into conversations on Twitter. I just don't have the time. But I do post some very good articles from various developers, some stats from the banks, some investment stuff that I post from some of the private equity guys I know in New York. I kind of like to think, I'm the yin to the yang of a lot of the stuff you see on the media here. The doom and gloomers out there that'll tell you that the market's in a crash mode and, everything's looking bleak and the economy and everything else. I tend to paint the other side of the picture. I think more of the true story that's out there as far as development, what's being bought, what's getting developed in downtown Vancouver and at what price. Now, I posted a couple of links on Twitter recently about how we are now in the early stages of an incredible office boom, commercial office boom in downtown Vancouver. We're in the first inning right now. And go to my Twitter feed, and I've mentioned this a few times in passing, but for decades here, we built very little office supply here, new office supply in the downtown core, but that's changing now. There's something like 12 office towers currently under construction in downtown Vancouver. The one that I just tweeted was at the corner of Georgia and Homer Street. So where the old post office building is, where they're building two large office towers, or converting the post office into office. Amazon now originally was going to take half of that office space. Now I believe they're going to take all of that office space. There's another office tower, kitty corner across the street under construction. Apparently just on that corner there's something like 2 million square feet of office space under construction that'll be finished in the next 2 years. Pretty much all of it now has been accounted for. There's another 300 or 400 million square feet currently under construction in other parts of the city. It's grade A office space. The vast majority of it has already been spoken for. And again, I think we're just in the first inning or two of this downtown office boom. And I blogged about it, how tech companies are starting to move into Vancouver. Amazon, Microsoft, video game companies, SAP. I've got clients that are in a Disney animation lab down in Gastown. We are slowly starting to build up a tech sector up here, from here all the way down to Portland. And the drawing card for Vancouver, and these are going to be pretty well-paying jobs. Not all of them. Some of them will be secretaries at $30,000 a year. But a lot of these jobs are going to be well into six figures. Don't let anybody fool you on that. They keep saying these aren't good paying jobs. They are good paying jobs. Amazon is going to have a very big presence up here, and there's going to be some very good paying jobs here. But the calling card, or the draw for these, and why they want to be in cities like Vancouver, is the city itself. We live in one of the best cities in the world to live as far as lifestyle and amenities and weather and everything else. And that's what's drawing these tech workers here. Amazon, it's a very competitive business to hire these engineers. And one of the ways they can kind of rise above is to be located in cities like New York and San Francisco and Seattle and Vancouver. You know, these young millennials, they're earning 70, 80, 90, 100,000 a year. They want to live downtown or work downtown, and they want to live downtown as well. So this is just another reason why I'm so bullish on downtown Vancouver. We're in the first or second inning of a massive office boom, many of which are going to be young, high-paid tech workers. And I can tell you, these tech workers are going to be the future buyers of these one-bedroom and two-bedroom condos in the downtown core, because they don't want to hop into a car. They want to walk to work. After they're finished, they want to go out to the bar, go to a concert, hop an Uber, if we ever get that. That's what the appeal is to a city like Vancouver and New York and San Francisco. These are going to be your future buyers of your units, but even more importantly, in the first few years while they get their down payments funds together, these are going to be your tenants. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on Vancouver. I think you'll do very well on appreciation, but overlook that. That's not the only thing. One of the big factors that you want to look at as an investor is what type of demographic is renting your units. And for me, I like to be in that higher end demographic. I like to rent my units to professionals. Tenants that are earning 80, 90, 100,000 a year and up, which pretty much all my downtown tenants are doing. And that has changed so much over the years, as I've blogged about. 10 years ago, a lot of my tenants were maybe in sales, retail, they still had good jobs. But now, I mean, the quality of tenants for that are able to afford a $2,300 or $2,400 a month unit is much higher. And that's something you should consider if you're an investor. So this early stage office boom, again, these are going to be your future tenants, and they're also going to be the future buyers of these units down the road. Final thing I'll just throw at you here, another reason why I'm so bullish here. Very little coming online in downtown Vancouver, as we all know. Take a look. There's some cranes out there right now, but anything that's being built, again, is luxury units, extremely expensive. I just got the latest numbers, and these are fantastic numbers here from Rennie. And everyone knows Bob Rennie is the condo king. He has 23 sales offices open right now in the Lower Mainland. He has an incredible bead on what pre-sales are doing. The latest stat they sent me 2 days ago on concrete pre-sales in the Lower Mainland. This is taking up the entire Lower Mainland here. So Richmond, Burnaby, New Westminster, Coquitlam, etc. Of all the concrete pre-sale expected to complete between 2019 and 2023, so this is a long way out still. Some of the stuff they haven't even started on, but it's approved and they're getting ready to pre-sale. 82% of it is already sold. 82%. And if you go into Vancouver, 91% of all concrete pre-sale has already been sold. And I can tell you that developers generally hold back 5%. They're smart because they'll pre-sell most of it. They only need to pre-sell about 50% to get the construction loans and move forward. They're holding back units now. They'll wait till it completes or just before, market's still going up, and they'll sell it at a little bit higher price. They don't need the money. They don't need to pre-sell it. They've already sold 50 or 60%, whatever the ratio is for the financing to go through. So 91% has already been sold on all concrete pre-construction between now and 2023. Add another 5%. They don't want to sell it. They're going to hold it back. And I would say what's left are going to be more of the 3-bedroom units, 2 and den, the higher end stuff that's selling at a $2 million, $3 million or whatever. Those are a little tougher sell. All the studios and 1-bedrooms and maybe 2 beds priced under 1.5, I can tell you those are all sold. So the cavalry is not on the way here. And I just looked at wood frame as well, and those numbers are very similar. Between now and 2023, all the pre-sale wood frame in the Lower Mainland is something like 86% is sold. It's accounted for, minus the stuff that they're holding back that they don't want to sell you yet anyways. So anyone that tries to tell you right now that this market is in a free fall and it's crashing, it's just not the case. These numbers don't show that. Downtown office boom. Most of the pre-construction and pre-sale concrete and wood frame is already sold long ago. This is one of the reasons why I'm bullish and why people should try and get a piece of Vancouver or New Westminster or Richmond. Well, the getting's good. Interest rates are low. You've got a long-term need. It's going to blow away what you're going to get in renting. Being a long-term renter in a city like Vancouver is nowhere. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to get crushed because 50-60% of your after-tax income is going to be going to housing that you're not getting anything back for. The difficult part, though, of course, is to get the down payment. The 5, 10, 15, 20%. Actually, forget 5. 10, 15, 20% is what you're going to need. That's the tough part. Once you're in, it's smooth sailing after that. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.